So I guess it's 8 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started with our first edition of the USA IST Office Hours. I'm Kathy Seabauer. I'm the USA IST Young Adult Commissioner, and I have two people here with me if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves really fast.
I'm Russell Smart. I'm the USA Commissioner for our contingent to the World Scout Jamboree.
I'm Jerry Sauser. I'm the Young Adult for the Commissioner team.
Russell, you want to go ahead?
I will. So there's been a lot of questions over the last few months that oftentimes go back to who is supposed to provide this information. And so we thought it would be interesting to start off our first IST office hours by going back over again the difference between the USA contingent and the host, which is also known as the organizing committee or sometimes the Jamboree planning team, JPT. So the USA contingent is governed by a contingent management team. That's all members of the Boy Scouts of America, USA, etc. And our responsibility is to take the members of the Boy Scouts of America, Venturers, Boy Scouts, Scouts BSA, young females, to take all of those to this World Scout Jamboree. We do not assign jobs to International Service Team, and most of the adults on this Facebook Live are members of our International Service Team. All of you are assigned jobs by the organizing committee, which is the other side of the ledger that you're seeing on the slide. We do not directly supervise you in your jobs, and we certainly do not make decisions that affect the whole Jamboree. That's done by the other side of the ledger. We primarily are communicating through the IST Facebook group, through the WOJAM Unlocked newsletters, through Flash Fridays, and everything that we do is part of the Boy Scouts of America, and that's who we are representing at this 24th World Scout Jamboree. On the other side of the ledger, we have the host, also known as the organizing committee, also sometimes known as the Jamboree planning team. They're governed by an executive committee of the Jamboree planning team, which is international. As I'm sure all of you know by now, this is the first World Scout Jamboree that has been hosted by more than one country working together. Canada, Mexico are our partners and have been since the very beginning. And so this is the first World Scout Jamboree that's sponsored by a continent and not a country. So the host is responsible for organizing everything related to how this World Scout Jamboree operates. It all operates under the auspices of the World Organization of the Scouting Movement, which is also known as WOSM or WOSM or WASM. You hear it pronounced all sorts of different ways. The organizing committee, they're the ones making all of the World Scout Jamboree decisions. There are 150 plus National Scout organizations that are participating in this Jamboree, and we are one of those. The United States is one of those. We are the largest of the National Scout organizations that will be attending this Jamboree. No surprise there, since it's in our backyard. But we are just one of 150 National Scout organizations that are attending. Now, the host does not make decisions that are specific to our USA contingent regarding the swag that we give out, how the tenting is done, how scholarships were awarded. All of those things are specific to the United States contingent. Their primary communications are specific to the teams that are working. There's an administrative group, there's a logistics group, there's an operations group, and there's a program group. And all of those have information that's being shared through various channels, specifically and probably primarily at this time, the one called Jambo Chat. And so if you are an IST member, we certainly encourage you and thank you for being part of our Facebook group, but you also need to be participating in Jambo Chat because a lot of information is being shared there. Now, Kathy, who organized this Facebook Live session and is handling all of our communications to IST on Facebook and such, Kathy does a great job of keeping up with all of this other information, and as we find out things from the host, we do try and post them on our Facebook group. But we're not originating that information, we're merely repeating it or reporting it to you. So that's why sometimes when you ask questions on something that we posted, we may have to say, we need to check that and get back to you because we didn't originate it, we just reported it or repeated it. And the legal entity, and this one is probably one of those trivial little known things, but there's a separate organization that's incorporated as New World LLC. And that is incorporated, and the members of that are Canada, the Boy Scouts of America, and the Scouts of Mexico, who make up the host committee. So that gives you a little about who we are and what the separation, and there are two sides of the ledger, and it's good to understand each side and know who's responsible for what. Now, within the contingent management team, the commissioner team is the primary one that you all as international service team members will interface with from the contingent side. As I said, your job specific things will come from your supervisor that's part of program operations, logistics, or administrative on the host. We're divided into two halves. There's a participant side, and there are commissioners and coordinators from each region for the participant side. At this moment, we're looking at about 142 or 143 units that we're sending to this jamboree representing the United States through the Boy Scouts of America. And those are a combination of venturing crews, troops, and a couple of Scouts, BSA, all young women units. But all of those are organized within our 4 regions of the BSA. And we have a set of commissioners, both senior adults and young adults, who work that side of it. On the IST side, we also have a commissioner organization. Mackie Zewalt, who was going to be with us tonight, but apparently has a power outage going on in Virginia where he lives. So he's not with us tonight. But he and Kathy Seaburn are the senior adult and the young adult who are at the top of the chart as our international service team commissioner coordinators. And then we have Bill Daggett, who is in the IST support. He works with Mac and Kathy. And then each of our regions, and you can see the names there, we've got Jay Edson, we've got Reed Christopherson, we've got Stan Haynes, we've got Howard help me, Kathy, Howard's last name? Dietrich, right. So we've got Howard, got these 4 senior adults. 3 of them right now have junior adults working with them, or junior members. Western region at the moment does not. So those are all the folks that you will primarily coordinate with and work with as part of the international service team coordinators. So that's our commissioner team within there. Lots of resources. Again, there's 2 separate columns here. There's contingent resources. We have a website. We have a Facebook group. We have Flash Friday emails that go out, and we have some things available for purchase. There will be more at some point, and those are all found through those links that are on there. And by the way, all these slides will be up on the Facebook group, available to look at or download later, so you don't have to worry about taking notes on this at the moment. On the host side, there's also a website. There's Jambo Chat. They're also sending out newsletters, and there's also a place to buy information that's being produced by the host. So again, we have the things that are specific to the Boy Scouts of America and the USA, and we have things that are more general and that are available and being communicated to all of the 150 plus National Scout organizations. So those are the resources that are available. Okay.
So I guess I'll jump in and take over now. So some of the most common questions that we've been getting are, what should I, as an IST member from the US, be doing right now to get ready for World Jamboree? So the number one, first and foremost thing is talking to your supervisor. The US contingent doesn't have answers to a lot of your questions, in the sense that we don't know what your arrival date is. We don't know exactly what your job responsibilities are. We don't know a lot of position-specific things. So when you're trying to get ready in the sense of knowing when your arrival is, knowing what you should be doing to get ready, you should be talking to your supervisor. And that is the person who emailed you and told you what your job is. Besides that, you need to take Safe from Harm training, which is posted online. You have to take that sometime between now and the start of Jamboree. It takes around 2.5 hours to complete, and it's really good to just do it, sit down and do it in one sitting. So that's, if you have time one afternoon, just sit down and do that training. Other things, you need to submit your travel plans. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you've already done this. That link is online. It's in our Facebook group. It's also available in a lot of places. TMS is trying to make sure that they have enough shuttles to accommodate everyone. So that needs to be submitted if you're arriving at any of the airports, at the train stations, or if you're driving. So even if you are driving to the Jamboree, you still need to submit that travel plan just so we know where you're coming from and what time you're going to be arriving. So besides that, you need to be getting in shape. Expect to be walking 8 to 10 miles a day or more at the summit. So that takes a lot of physical endurance. You're going to be tired. You might not be getting enough sleep or enough food at the Jamboree. So making sure that your body is physically ready for it ahead of time is really going to help out your fatigue level. We want to make sure we're giving our participants the best experience possible. So you're not going to be able to give them a good experience if you're grouchy the whole time or tired or exhausted. So making sure you're in shape is really important. Other things, we are trying to mail out our USA Contingent Swag really soon. So that's super exciting. You'll be able to get your duffel bags and things like that. We're going to talk about it more later. But in order for you to get your things, you need to have a correct mailing address online. So you need to go into your registration page and check and make sure your mailing address is correct. Besides that, there is a medical questionnaire that was emailed to you personally. It's super short, not too difficult to fill out. It'll take you just a couple minutes. It's very basic. You don't need a doctor's signature or anything, but you need to submit that before you get on site. Besides that, you do not have to turn in a BSA medical form. That's a common question. So you do not have to turn in parts A, B, C, anything like that. It's great to bring with you. I would strongly encourage you to have it with you when you're traveling, but you do not have to submit that anywhere. Besides that, there's 2 other optional things that you can be doing to get ready. One is submitting a tent mate request, which we're going to talk about later on today, as well as buying any position-specific gear. There's absolutely nothing required ahead of time in terms of buying t-shirts or patches, but if you'd like to, that's a great opportunity. I will turn it over to Jerry.
All right, thanks, Kathy. So another question we've been getting a lot is what can you expect during the Jamboree itself, particularly from on-site arrival throughout the duration of the Jamboree. So first off, when you first arrive, you'll go through the check-in process. And you'll do that either when you drive to the Ruby Center or you take a shuttle from airport, train station, or other port of entry. One important note about this is that you cannot drive on site at the summit. You will arrive on your specific arrival date given to you by your supervisor, and then you will go to the Ruby Center by one of those different methods. You'll go through the check-in process and you'll board shuttles to go on site to the summit. One important note about when you arrive is do not come early. This is something that's very important. If you come early, you will be turned away until your specific arrival date, and you'll have to find lodging off-site until you're able to return to the summit for your assigned check-in date. So with that, and given that you'll be boarding shuttles from the site, once you leave Ruby, you'll need to be able to carry everything that you bring after the shuttle to get to your tent specifically. So just one last reminder that unlike in past Jamborees, you're not going to be able to go drive onto the site to drop off your gear and then drive off. The last access you will have to your vehicle will be at the Ruby Center. During the check-in process, you'll receive your personal identification. This will include 3 things that you need to wear during the duration of the Jamboree at all times. They include your identification lanyard, your Novus wristband, and your IST neckerchief that you will receive from the host. Again, you'll need all 3 forms of identification throughout the duration of the Jamboree. So a little bit more about that Novus wristband is that's going to be a program designed for helping people to make connections and encouraging participation in Jamboree activities. You'll wear this during the Jamboree again as a part of your identification, but you'll be able to use it to check in at different activities and also to connect with different people. So one thing that you can do with this is you'll be able to share contact info. Instead of sitting down and writing down contact info, you'll be able to click your wristbands together, and that will help you to offline then after the Jamboree go back and look at all the connections you made and reach out to them in any form of communication that you desire. You'll be getting an email from the host with how to set up your Novus profile, and it's that information that you curate into the system that will then be what you'll be sharing whenever you click with another participant. So meals during the Jamboree, you'll have breakfast and dinner in your assigned dining hall, which you'll get when you arrive. And then after breakfast, you'll get to pack to-go lunch that you'll carry with you throughout the day. So a couple of special day activities during the Jamboree. There is the Cultural Celebration Day. And during this day, the morning will be cultural activities in the campsites, and then in the afternoon, will be a stadium show. There are no specific IST Cultural Day activities. However, you are able to and encouraged to go to the other base camps to see what the participants are doing with their cultural days. And there's another opportunity I'll touch on in a second. There will be 3 stadium shows during the Jamboree, an opening show that first Tuesday of the Jamboree. On the Friday of the Jamboree, which will also be the cultural day, in the evening there will be a stadium show. And then the conclusion show on the last day of the Jamboree, which is that second Thursday of the Jamboree. The rest of the nights there will be base camp shows, known as base camp bashes, and they'll rotate around on a given schedule from site to site. And you're more than welcome to attend those if you're interested. There are going to be a couple of special opportunities for IST during the Jamboree, all of which you will be able to sign up for on site at the Jamboree. So there's the opportunity to perform on stage in some of these different base camp shows. There's also going to be some off-site adventures that are available for IST during the cultural day. Since there's no IST specific activities on the cultural day, you can sign up to take a bus to go and do a variety of different activities in the surrounding area to participate. So again, all of these activities are going to be signed up for at the Jamboree, and these activities are free. I turn back over to you, Kathy.
Okay, so now, the moment everyone's been waiting for, we have a couple of really exciting updates to share with you guys. And the number one thing is what I mentioned before, is our TentMate system. We are going to be releasing this immediately after the call. So you can log into Facebook at around, I don't know, say 9 p.m. Central, and we're gonna have that link posted for how to request a TentMate. So a couple things to know before you go and fill out that form. All of our IST tents are going to be 4 people to a tent in single gender. So there's gonna be male tents, female tents. You can get a group of 4 people, or you can get a group of less than that. So if you just want to request with 1 friend or with 2 friends, you can request TentMate groups of 2 or 3 people. Just know that if you request less than 4 people, the rest of the spots in your tent are going to be filled randomly. So just because you only submit 2 people's names in that or 3 people's names in that does not mean you get a half empty tent. The rest of the tent is still going to be filled. Other things to note is not all positions can use this TentMate system, and that's mostly because there's a lot of jobs that work odd hours. So think medical, safety, security, transportation, food service, things like that. They're going to be either waking up earlier or staying up way later than you. So to make sure that that's not an issue, those people are going to be arranging tenting through their specific position. So this TentMate system is only for US IST who are not in these specific positions. And that also applies to non-ECHO personnel. So if you're staying in Alpha, Bravo, all those ones, you cannot use our TentMate system either. Other things to note is it does not guarantee a specific tent site. So you can't request to be close to the dining hall or close to the bathroom, anything like that. Those are going to be given out randomly. So how to fill out the form? Once we post the link tonight, you can click on that, fill it out anytime between now and July 1st. It does not matter how early you submit that. There's absolutely no priority here. So people who fill it out tonight versus people who fill it out a month from now does not matter. Only 1 person per group should submit the form. So if you get a group of 4 people together, you need to talk to each other and make sure you know which of the 4 of you is going to submit it, because multiple submissions is really going to mess up the system. And before you can go in and fill out the form, there's 3 things that you need. You need the full name, the email address associated with their registration, and their registration code. And you need that for every single person in your TentMate system. So make sure you've gathered all of that system before you go in and try to fill out the form. So that's super exciting. Other things is we're going to have our IST Swag start shipping out really soon. So as you might know, this is only for IST that are affiliated with the USA Contingent, not people who are affiliated with the Jamboree planning team. So you had to have registered with the USA for you to be getting this swag. Hopefully you've already received 1 IST patch in the mail. If you have not, first of all, you need to go in and check your mailing address, make sure you have the right shipping address. You also need to make sure you're 100% paid. And then if you still haven't received it, you can check on the Facebook group. There is an email address that you can email and make sure that that's taken care of. So besides that first IST patch that you already should have received, the remaining items consist of a blue duffel bag, a blue day pack, 3 neckerchiefs that are specific to the US Contingent, 2 luggage tags, 4 IST specific shoulder patches, and a second round contingent emblem. We are waiting to finish shipping out all of the participant unit ones, but as soon as those are shipped out, we're going to start shipping these out. So those are going to start in late May. So you can anticipate them coming maybe sometime in June. So the majority of those shipments are going to be going to designated locations such as nationally owned scout shops and some council places for you to pick up. But those who live really far away from any of these designated locations, it's going to be shipped directly to you. And to know where yours is going to be shipped is you're going to get an email that tells you your swag is getting shipped to X location. So that's how you're going to know whether you have to go pick it up at a store or if it's going to be coming directly to you. So on the next slide, we can see this is what your swag's going to look like. It's super cool. You get a giant duffel bag, a really cool day pack, and then all those neckers and patches. Russell, you want to talk a little bit more about what patches people should be wearing?
Thank you. Yes. We've gotten a lot of questions both through the Facebook group and through our base camp, our unit leaders. So there's a lot of interest about what is it that's actually supposed to go on my field uniform. Well, first off, understand that at a World Scout Jamboree, wearing the field uniform is a very rare event. We will all wear them as we're traveling as part of our contingent, IST. You're certainly welcome to wear your field uniform while you travel to the Jamboree site, and it certainly will be a great advertisement for scouting and what's going on and give you the opportunity to tell a lot of folks who wouldn't otherwise know about this fantastic world event that's happening in West Virginia this summer. But on site, once you get there, most jobs do not require that you wear field uniform at any time. The Jamboree host has asked all of us to wear our field uniforms for the opening stadium show. That's the one that Jerry referred to earlier that occurs on Tuesday night. Most of the NSOs will be arriving on Monday. The US will be coming a day early on Sunday. Most of you IST will have already been there for 3, 4, 5 or more days, depending on your job. But the second day of the Jamboree, once everybody's on site at that evening stadium show on Tuesday, that's one of the opportunities to wear your field uniform during the Jamboree. The other opportunity is probably during your attendance, if you attend, and we hope you will, at one of the worship services. There'll be a Scouts Own service on Sunday that will be in the stadium, and that will be open to people of all faiths, religions, denominations, and then there will be a variety of specific denominational or faith-based services at other sites and places around the Jamboree site. So it's typically custom that you would wear your field uniform for that. But those are the only 2 times really that field uniform is required. So it's not uber important really where you put your patches and so forth, because you're just not going to be wearing your uniform that much. But for those that do care, the patch that's shown there in the picture, the round one, the IST patch that has our BSA logo for the Jamboree, that one, yes, thank you, Kathy. That one is worn on the pocket as a temporary patch. Once you get to the Jamboree, you will receive a patch from the host, which will be the, quote, official patch for International Service Team at the Jamboree. That patch should be sewn over the right pocket, over the BSA or over your name badge if you wear one above the BSA strip that's on your uniform. So those are the 2 official Jamboree patches that are on the front or pocket part of the uniform. You also will receive an IST JSP, and those are pictured just to the left of the round IST patch. And you would certainly wear that on your uniform where you normally wear your council shoulder patch while you're serving at the Jamboree. And again, you can sew these on your uniform or not sew them on your uniform. They're coming to you as part of your participation, and it's completely your call as to what you do with them. There are a lot of other souvenir type patches out there that have the official Jamboree emblem on, the globe. If you want to buy one of those and sew it on your uniform, God bless you. We're perfectly fine for you to do that. But you will not receive your official Jamboree patch that goes over that pocket until you get to the Jamboree. The necker is very important. You'll receive that beautiful BSA blue and with the stars and stripe on the side and the USA and our logo on it. You'll get 3 of those, and certainly you'll want to wear that whether you're wearing your field uniform or not. So you can wear that with a t-shirt, with an activity shirt, with a fishing shirt, with whatever you're wearing working on your international service team job. You certainly are welcome to wear that neckerchief. And through the years, the Boy Scouts of America interest in neckerchiefs has seemingly declined. I think what we're going to see after this World Scout Jamboree is the wearing of neckerchiefs is going to explode again, because around the world, the neckerchief is really the piece of uniform apparel that distinguishes an individual as scouts. So be sure to get your neckerchief and your patches picked up with the email when it comes to you, and enjoy wearing them however you wish. Okay, next topic. During the last couple of jamborees, many of you may have be aware that we've seen an increase in the number of CPAP machines. This varies from country to country, and particularly in the United States, we've seen a great great increase in the use of CPAP machines. We do not have plug-ins at tent sites at the summit. And so folks that use a CPAP and depend on it and want to bring it with them to the Jamboree are going to need a way to power it that is not dependent upon plugging it in. And so back up for a moment back to that slide. So the policy about that, you can see the link there, and later you can go click on that link and read the policy. And again, what did I say earlier? Who sets the policy? Not us. The policy is set by the Jamboree planning team, the organizing committee. And so the safety and medical teams of the Jamboree have set the policy, and there is the policy. It was done in the end of March, and you can go read all of the details of it. You are free to bring your own battery power source. There are lithium-ion battery packs that are made to go with specific CPAPs, and there are other varieties of battery packs that are designed to power them. But what we found is that a lot of folks don't have those. And so next slide. So we have decided to offer through the Summit Bechtel Reserve Staff Association a program to help people who have a CPAP that do not have their own rechargeable battery system. And again, all of these details will be posted online and have actually been emailed out to everyone that reported in their medical questionnaire that they had a condition that might require the use of a CPAP. So we're providing an opportunity so that you don't have to lug a battery to the summit, but we will have one there for you when you get there, and we'll provide you with a battery, an inverter to convert the DC power of the battery to AC power so that you can plug in your CPAP, and then we'll provide a way for it to be recharged as needed every day or every other day, depending on the power drain of your particular CPAP. And this will also, a great feature of this will help you not have to go hunting for some place to plug in and recharge every day. And so all of these details will be available, and the sign up will be through the Summit Bechtel Reserve Staff Association, and that will open up on May the 10th and will run through June 15th. I've already been working with the medical team on gathering information about folks that have an interest in it. And so far we have well over 100 who have expressed interest of our international service team and our adult unit leaders for this system. And so we think it'll be a big success and a help for those who have the need of that. So thank you. So if that applies to you, be sure and check that out.
So I guess now we're going to jump in to a little bit of open Q&A. So I'll put this up here so that way all of you guys can get to know us. So this is good to know because once you're on site at the Jamboree, if you ever have questions, you're going to look for people in blue shirts just like us, because this designates that we're members of the US Contingent Management Team. Russell is also showing off our awesome neckerchief. I think I have one too. So the US Contingent Management Team are going to have white neckerchiefs. So you guys have the navy blue ones, we have white ones. So if you ever have questions on site, you can go look for people in these blue shirts with the white neckerchiefs to get your questions answered. So, and just a reminder, as Russell said, all of these This PowerPoint as well as this video is going to be posted online afterwards. So if you didn't have the chance to write something down or miss something that we said, or if you want to click on one of those hyperlinks, it's going to be posted afterwards so that you can access them after the fact. So we're going to go through a couple of different questions. We asked you guys to submit them in advance. We had close to, I think, 100 questions submitted. So we tried to go through, summarize them, combine similar ones, and we tried to make sure we hit almost every single topic. So I'm going to go through some of the communication type questions we had. So most of the communication questions revolved around this video, whether it's going to be available for people who aren't able to watch it, either because they don't have a Facebook or they're not going to be available at this time at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. We're going to post it after the fact. This is going to be emailed out to you just like you got an email announcing it. You're going to get an email with the link afterwards on YouTube so that you can watch it back after the fact. Other things, a lot of questions revolved around a little bit of confusion of where to go to find information. And I think Russell did a great job earlier talking about the difference between the US and the overall JPT. So we have our own website, they have their own website, we have our own source of information, they have their own. So that's why there's not one specific place to get all the information. We're completely separate entities. So it's just like if this World Jamboree was happening in Japan or a different country, it's run by a completely separate organization. The BSA is just bringing a group to that. So we are just the people planning the US side of things. So all of our communication is related to US specific items. So other questions we had, we've heard that participants will not have lanyard IDs, only wristbands. That is incorrect. You're going to have 3 different forms of ID. You're going to have a necker that shows what position you are, whether you're IST, adult, or youth. You're going to have a wristband that is also related in color to show which position you are. And then you're going to have a lanyard with an ID at the end. And that's going to have your name on it. So other questions? The wristbands are waterproof? Correct. Yes, the wristbands are waterproof so that you can wear them when you're going into showers, if it's raining, if you're doing water activities, they are waterproof. Other questions we had, how many two-way radios will we receive? I'm guessing this is a very position-specific question. So if you're in a job that requires a radio, say it's safety or security, something like that, you can talk to your supervisor about what kinds of radios you need. So I think that covers basically all of our communication questions. Russell, do you want to talk about some of the food questions?
Food, yes. So can IST living in base camps other than eat at Echo? You essentially have to eat where you live. So if you're working in the operations group and you're assigned into one of the base camps or sub camps, you're going to eat at a dining room that is part of that base camp or sub camp. General jobs, most of us will be sleeping in a tent in Echo, and that's where we'll take our meals. Meals, breakfast and lunch are buffet meals. Lunch, as Jerry mentioned earlier, is a summit to go meal, a sack lunch that you'll put together in the morning when you get your breakfast, and then take that with you when you go. And you want to bring something to take it with you. The summit prides itself on doing things that are eco-friendly and sustainable, and one of those is not giving 8,000 or 9,000 people some kind of plastic bag every day to put their meal items in. So bring your day pack, bring some kind of little bag that you can put in your day pack to keep your food in. So bring your own lunch sack every day. But the meals are a variety of menus. There could be as many as 4 different menus. When you go into the dining hall, you pick a line that serves that particular menu for that meal and get your food. It's self-serve. There's certainly instructions about trying not to mix utensils between different food items, so it keeps it specific and clean and sanitary. But it is a serve yourself buffet style meal at both the breakfast and the dinner meal. So that's a little bit about food.
Yeah. Can I expand on that really fast? So
Sure
I
can.
mentioned the lanyard IDs. On your lanyard, it's going to tell you what dining hall you're assigned to. So if you're in Echo, you can only eat at Echo. But if you are assigned to one of the other 2 dining halls, which are the Piggott one and the Fork of the Road, you will have to have the ID saying that you can eat in those. So just because you're working near one of those, if you are assigned to Echo, you have to eat at Echo. If you are assigned to one of the other 2 dining halls, you can either eat at that dining hall or you can eat at Echo. You have the choice. But
Right.
if you have requested special meals, if you have dietary restrictions or religious reasons for a specific kind of meal, you have to eat at your assigned dining hall because they're going to have your special dietary restriction meal ready for you there. So you have to eat at the one that has your specific meal.
Good. And if you haven't been to the summit lately, the Piggott Dining Hall and the Fork in the Road Dining Hall are brand new. They are still under construction. They're opening up in a couple of months, and they'll be plenty ready and operating during the World Scout Jamboree, but they're brand new for this summer. Thank you for those clarifications, Kathy. Oh, health and safety. So we got a couple of questions there. Physical forms. We're very accustomed to dealing with medical forms and submitting them either in paper form or online, and none of that is required at this World Scout Jamboree. The questionnaire that you've been sent, the link, and it is specific to you, the link to fill out the medical questionnaire, that is the only medical information that you have to provide in advance of the Jamboree. We are certainly asking all of our units leaders to collect the standard BSA medical form on their youth to have while they're traveling to and from the Jamboree. But once they get to the Jamboree, those medical forms will not be turned in to anybody. They're not going to be scanned. They're not going to be put on file. Just the medical questionnaires that everybody fills out. That's the basis of information that our medical team will use to treat. So you're certainly welcome to bring to have a medical form with you when you come as an IST, but nobody's going to ask you for it in the check-in or registration process. Yes, that's an interesting question. We've certainly found over the last couple of jamborees at the summit and just scouting in general that everybody has the ability to record things and post them. And in the former days when someone had an injury, we would get them to medical, they would be treated, and then we would call home and contact their emergency contact person and let them know what happened. Now, almost before we even get them transported to the medical, it's already known by their family what's going on, or somebody's posted it on Facebook or Twitter or put it somewhere else on some social media channel. So that's something that's just going to continue to be, and there is no way to stop it. As long as people have phones and have ways to record things like that, it's going to happen. And certainly in an extreme emergency, if there are security people there and they sense that there's a security issue involved, they would certainly ask someone to stop filming. But that's just a fact of life that we're into now. So take several prescriptions, over-the-counter medications. It's permissible to bring them, certainly. You can bring your normal medical needs with you and have them. And there's also some medicines that require to be stored in some type of refrigeration or cooler. And depending on where you work and where you sleep, there will be the opportunity for you to have that available to you as well.
All right, so we've also received several kind of position-specific questions, but I'm going to try to answer them in a way that will apply to most people. So for individuals that know what team that they're on, we've received the question of who is my contact and what are my responsibilities. And the best answer to this is to get back in contact with whoever emailed you specifically with your job assignment, and all position-specific questions will be directed towards your supervisor. They'll be able to tell you your specific responsibilities as well as previously mentioned your arrival date. For those of you who don't know what your position is currently, assignments are still being made and you will be emailed very shortly with that assignment. And then finally, if you want to make any special requests for time off, that's something that you will work on a by-case basis, specifically with your supervisor, and work with them to see if they can make those arrangements and accommodate around those. So moving on to a couple of questions about living accommodations. I know that Kathy mentioned a lot of great stuff earlier, and a lot of what we have to answer will be resolved once that link is released later this evening to request tenting accommodations. So specifically, one question we've received is there a post office at the Jamboree to receive packages? Yes, there will be a post office. Make sure that you go back to the slide that has the physical mailing address, and you'll be able to receive packages from any service. But at the Jamboree itself, you'll only be able to ship packages using the United States Postal Service. So as we release a lot of information tonight, when it comes to the details of our tents, specifically dimensions, shower and bathroom facilities, there's a lot of photos and videos from the 2017 Jamboree, and a lot of those have already been posted on our Facebook group. And you can expect to have a similar experience to those dimensions and shower experiences in the photos that we've shared previously or on the Jamboree website. When it comes to where you'll be tenting specifically and who you'll be tenting with, it will really depend on your specific program. But for a general rule, if you're not in one of those groups that was called out previously as being tented with those in your program area on the slide a couple of slides ago, then you are eligible to apply to together your own tenting group and follow out the link and the process that Kathy outlined earlier in the call. When you find out who you're staying with, the best way to do that, again, is you can request after the call, or you'll find out when you arrive on site to figure out who you've been assigned to be with. And then finally, we are still waiting on finding out if there will be laundry service. As soon as we have information about that, we will be distributing that widely.
Excellent. So we had, this is the mail slide that you mentioned. You can go back and look at this later on if you want to see that and write that down. So in terms of swag, we had a ton of questions about swag. Hopefully some of them were clarified with what we were talking about earlier. But first question, I have moved addresses. How do I get my swag? You go into your registration page, so specifically go in with your scouting.org login, and you update your mailing address. And you need to do that as soon as possible because we're going to start shipping these out soon, and we're starting to figure out where the swag needs to go. So please update that immediately if you have moved. Other thing, I hear that people like to swap things. What should we bring? How many? Things like that. You're not required to buy anything prior to this Jamboree. But if you would like to bring things to trade, that's entirely at your prerogative. And normally people trade things of normally pretty small, not like huge value. Don't want to bring lots of expensive things, but things little, just like a token that's very unique to where you are. So say I've heard of people bringing quarters that have their state on them. You can bring pins, you can bring keychains, just something that's small that you could exchange with someone. Carry a couple of them with you whenever you meet a new friend, you could give them a gift. That's really common, especially giving gifts and not just exchanging things one for one. Other things, are there going to be dry fit polos available? There are a couple of US specific gear already available online. There's also some IST things on that host website that we linked to earlier. A couple of teams, such as I know aquatics and shooting sports, and a couple other ones have their own t-shirts available for purchase as well. You can buy those in advance online. I don't believe any of them have embroidery available, but that's something that you could order it online, and then once it gets to you, you could bring it to a local store to get it embroidered.
Kathy, let me jump in. Absolutely. I just saw today, in fact, I think it was posted on our Facebook group, the program group. If you're an IST and you're assigned to one of the program groups, all of the program group teams have a coordinated shirts and logos and all of that. Again, none of it is mandatory to buy, but there are a lot of choices out there that you can buy if you want to buy stuff that's associated with a specific program team.
Exactly, yeah, and that answers the next question. We've been urged to buy staff t-shirts. Do we have to? Absolutely not. They're completely optional. You can if you'd like to, but we understand that this Jamboree is already a financial burden and we are not requiring you to buy anything more than what you've already paid for. Other things, how do I order name tags and extra IST patches? There's two different kinds of name tags. I'm wearing the US Contingent one. It's either, I think, 1-line or 2-line. If you want to get a 3-line one, that's available through the host, which is a different link, but you can order a name tag from them as well. If you want to get a unit number patch, so I know you might have seen at previous Jamborees, people have unit numbers that say like USA, World Jamboree, and then their unit. There's an option to get that instead of with unit numbers. You can get the letters IST on one of those. So you would just go to the US Contingent store, click on the unit number patch link, but instead of typing in numbers, you just put IST and you can purchase that ahead of time. I still haven't received my first patch. That's what I said earlier about going into your system, making sure you have the correct mailing address. And if you do and you are 100% paid, there's a link online of where to email and check in on that. The contingents are getting JSPs. Will IST members be getting ones for their regions, or can they buy them? IST members are going to be getting IST JSPs. I know that's a lot of acronyms. So there's 5 different US Jamboree shoulder patches, which are sort of like your council shoulder patches, just specific to the Jamboree. So we have one for each region. So there's a different color for each region. So I know I think Central's red, one's blue, one's yellow. Each region has a different color border. And then IST are going to be having ones with a purple border. So you're only going to be receiving ones for your specific either region for participants or IST. So you're just going to be getting the IST ones, but you're absolutely welcome to go and trade with other people if you'd like to get one for your region, or they're going to be available for purchase later on once everyone has received theirs in the mail. You can buy them online. And then the last question, which patches should be worn? Russell sort of already talked about that. You can wear the circular contingent one on your pocket. You're going to be getting one to wear above your pocket on site, but absolutely completely optional if you want to put that on or not. And I will hand it back over to Russell for transportation.
Will there be transportation on arrival departure days from Ruby for people not living in ECHO? Yes. Transportation system bringing people on site will drop you off at an area that is reasonable walk from the area that you're tenting in. So there will be transportation all over the site, not just to ECHO. Bus service for international service team. Similar to our national jamboree, I know not everyone who's on this watching this was at one of the national jamborees, but there are buses. They run in the morning, they run in the evening, and the ultimate goal of the bus service is to try and get you from ECHO, if that's where you are, to your IST job, to get you within a nominal walk, hopefully not more than 30 minutes. That's the goal at a normal walking pace. So there are various bus routes, they're color coded, and you will certainly have all the information about what bus goes where and the different times that they run. They typically will pick up near the dining hall in ECHO, if that's where you are, and go to the different locations. And so they run mostly in the morning and the evenings. There may be some buses also during the day, but not like there are in the morning and the evenings. You're coming outside of the time the shuttles are scheduled. Well, the shuttle system, again, is organized and managed by the host, not by the Boy Scouts of America and our contingent. So if you're not coming when a shuttle is available, then sadly you're going to have to find some other way to get your transportation, either Uber, share a ride with somebody else who's in your same situation. You can do that through Jambo Chat. I've seen some posts of various people asking, hey, I'm coming from this area, does somebody want a carpool? So all of that can be set up through some of the online forums, and particularly Jambo Chat is a good place to go and post, because everybody working at the Jamboree has access to that. I want to come early. Jerry mentioned that earlier. Thank you very much. We know that Boy Scouts are a helpful lot, and we always like to pitch in and do our part, and we appreciate that. But don't do that. Only come at the time that you're asked to come. And again, as Jerry said earlier, if you just show up and that's not the time when you're supposed to show up, you're not going to be able to go on the Jamboree site and stay or eat. You're going to have to find alternate arrangements until your appointed time. And then, are you allowed to bring a bike to get around faster on the site? And the answer is absolutely not. The number of people that we have on this site and the paths that are there are designed for people to walk on, not to ride bikes on. So no one is allowed to have bikes on site during the Jamboree, other than, of course, in the biking areas, and then it's part of the program, not for transportation.
So there's a list of other questions that don't fit neatly into any of the previous categories, so I'll address them here. So what items should I bring that I might not be aware of that might make my life more comfortable? The great thing about this Jamboree is that we have a lot of people on our IST that have been at this location before. So I'd encourage you to comment below and add any suggestions or tips or tricks or things that you found that have made your experience at the summit before a great opportunity. Also, there's a lot of communication chains that have been going through on our IST Facebook group. that I would encourage you to dig through and see some valuable suggestions that other people have been sharing, from anything from footwear to best ways to charge gear, as well as ways to store different materials that you might bring to the Jamboree. How and when can my spouse, family, friend visit with a day pass? What you can do is you can go to www.2019wsj.org/attend/day visitors, and that's where you'll be able to purchase any day visitor passes for those who would like to attend the Jamboree just for a day. Will we need help the week before or the week after? So as I said before, and as Russell just reiterated, please do not come early, and also do not plan on staying late. Talk directly with your supervisor, and they will tell you the day that you are to arrive and the day that you will be released. How do I register a drone for use at this event? The host has issued that there will be no drones allowed as a safety and security issue. So it's just a blanket statement, no drones will be allowed at the Jamboree. What are we to wear for uniforms? Should we be building a Class A uniform for the Jamboree? Field uniforms are recommended for travel, but not required necessarily for IST, as Russell said earlier. It's a great way to strike up conversation and promote what's happening within our country during July, but it's not required for you to do so. The host has asked that we wear them for the opening show and for religious services. It's up to you how much you want to customize any field uniform that you already have. You can put your Jamboree patches on it or not, but again, that is totally up to you. What will the availability to power outlets be? There will be several charging stations throughout the entire site, but also please be sure to closely watch your valuables. Don't just leave your phone charging throughout the day and then come back for it later. Another great suggestion is to have some maybe little portable battery packs to recharge anything that you might need during the Jamboree, so that you can still be out and about, but also charge your devices. And then lastly, can I participate in program on my day off? And the answer to this is yes, but as long as there are no other scouts in line. If there are no other scouts in line, then you're welcome to wait and then participate in the Jamboree activities.
Okay, so those are all the questions that we've had so far today. We'll be monitoring the comments after this Q&A session to see if you have any more questions in the comments. We'll jump in on those and answer any questions you have in the comments. But that's all we have for right now. Actually, Russell, do you want to give us sort of a Scoutmaster's minute to end our call here?
Well, that's good. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. First, congratulations. I just checked, and according to Facebook right now, we have 265 people that are following this first IST office hours. So that's a great thing. So my first World Jamboree was 1995 in Holland, and I got to go with my son who had just graduated from high school, and so it was pretty much his last big scouting event before he went away to college. And I didn't have any idea about what to expect, and so it was a wonderful, life-changing event for me and for my son when we attended the World Scout Jamboree in the Netherlands in 1995 together. I was an assistant scoutmaster with a wonderful man who's now passed away named Bill Huters. And Mr. Huters was a funny guy, but one of the first things he said to me, that what makes a World Scout Jamboree fantastic is that the whole world comes. And I thought a lot about that. For most of us, if you think about the things that are available in the world, to have an opportunity to meet people from all over the world in a short period of time. Certainly the Olympics come to mind, but sadly I was never an Olympic athlete. So I never got that opportunity. And my guess is that 99.9% of all of us don't fall into that category either. So we've never had that opportunity. So if you are not that 0.0001% Olympic athlete, this is really the only opportunity for a young person, or for even those of us who are not quite so young anymore, to get the opportunity to spend 2 weeks with people from absolutely all around the world. I met a wonderful young woman who was part of the Austrian contingent there in 1995, and she and I have stayed in communication ever since then, and as well as a few other people from around the world. And so the wonderful thing now is, her name is Ursula, is now not long after the Jamboree, she got married, had a child, and now her daughter is old enough to come to this World Jamboree as a participant. So it's kind of closing the circle, I guess, in a sense, that we started out together in '95, and now with her child is going to be there as my child was back in 1995. So it's a life-changing experience. There's nothing like it unless you're an Olympic athlete. As I said, most of us are not. So come with the expectation to expect the unexpected. Serendipitous things will happen, things that you can't even begin to expect, and things that I can't even begin to predict are going to happen for each and every person when you participate in this wonderful thing we call the World Scout Jamboree. And we certainly thank our founder, Lord Baden-Powell, who many years ago had the idea to, why don't we invite everybody from around the world who's involved in scouting to get together and have a little party and do some scouting things together. And he did that in 1920, and we've been doing it ever since. So I'll look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be great.
So I guess that's all we have for tonight. We kept it under an hour, which is what we wanted, so that's fantastic. We're going to have our next session on, I believe it is May 23rd at the same exact time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you'll also have the opportunity to submit questions in advance for that as well. So
and thank you, Kathy, for putting all this together. Kathy does such a fantastic job of handling our Facebook group and answering those questions that all of you send in constantly, and that's a good thing, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate all of you, but we especially appreciate Kathy for all she does to help us with our communication and set this up tonight. So thank you, Kathy. And Jerry, thank you. Jerry's a great partner for me as a young adult in the commissioner team, and I'm looking forward to being and working with these guys in just about 80 days from now.
So that's all we have for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Good night.
Good night. Great job.
So we're holding strong at about 250, 260 all night.
Yep, it's good.
That's great.
So let's see, let's take a minute and look at what kind of